Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Detail Rag Podcast. This is episode 51. Tonight, Paul and I are talking to Mr. Scott Gauquier from Detail Division. Scott, welcome to the podcast, sir. How are you?
Thank you. Grateful to be here, man.
We appreciate you. So basically, in a nutshell, Scott, tell us a little bit about, really interested in you, your backstory, and how Detail Division got started. And then just kind of throw it out there and let everybody know who you are and what's going on.
Cool. Well, listen, in a nutshell, I think at the end of the day, people like things. Okay. You get driven by things in life and things happen to you. And you just kind of gravitate towards things, and you always have like this thing, this little seed that gets stuck in your head somewhere at a really young age. And it's like, fuck, I got to do something about that. So here it is, it like, my dad worked in auto parts forever, and, going to work with him, stuff like that, and exposed to cars from an early age. And, my dad liked American stuff, and it was the last thing that I liked. I always ended up liking like European cars. Listen, I mean, I'm 45. I grew up like watching James Bond. You know what I mean? Like for all the people up in the Northeast, like Channel 38 movie loft, like I would stay up with my pops until like whatever. I guess it was midnight, back in the days when they like would play the national anthem before all broadcasts were over. Well, that's what we would do, is we would just watch movies, and, it's like James Bond, you watch Bullet, whatever. So yeah, I always knew that it was going to be something having to do with cars,
So was your dad a mechanic?
No, he just worked the counter,
Okay.
I think he smoked cigarettes. I think that's what his first job was. And then the second job was talking trash to customers and giving them a hard time. The dude can, I mean, like, I'll have a belt go on my snowblower and he'll be like, "Oh, that's a 3575." And I'm like, "What?" and he's right every time. And he was that guy where like, he's the most computer illiterate person that I've ever met. But you put him in an auto parts counter, and he's not the guy asking you for a VIN. Okay. He's like, he is smashing that keyboard, figuring it out, and then it was good to go,
So Scott,
yeah.
Go back a little bit when I know you and I've talked many times. You had a job that you hated.
Yeah.
And the thing in your mind was to be self-employed, is my guess, which you are now. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you were telling me the other day when you just went for it.
Well, so it really comes down to, working for somebody else and making somebody else rich, and realizing that you're basically flushing your time and your life away, pursuing nothing ultimately. And, so I started the business when I was 37, while I was employed, and basically I was making pizza, I was running a restaurant. And I had done that for years, and that was a completely separate life than what I have right now. But, I would be making food, managing somebody else's business, and grab this thing. And the beauty of the internet is you just hop on and you do something, and like, to go back a little bit, I would import stuff, because I liked foreign cars and whatever. And I kind of wanted the products that went along with that. So it's like, if you have a German car, I want some German stuff to put on my German car, like it's the stupid small things, but like, that's kind of how it all starts. And, I got into things that way of importing and figuring out how to, how the system works. And while I was working, just end up, selling stuff on the internet, and that's.
So how did you come up with the name Detail Division? I like it. I'm just wondering.
It's not as nice as everybody thinks it is.
Well, we all want to know.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of twofold. Okay. So Detail Division, it's like, that's the department. you know? And it's like, that's like the nice sanitary friendly way of saying like, oh yeah, like this is what I do, you know? The reality is that the division is the dividing line. And it's not the same as everything else. It's the uncommon, it's the sought after, it's the top shelf. It's the thing that you never knew that you want. You always knew that you wanted it. You didn't know that it existed. You didn't know things worked like this. That's what I aim to deal in. You know, at the end of the day, I think like throw price completely out of the conversation. For the enthusiast and for the professional, there is one thing that always brings them together. Reality. They want to be better than everybody else.
True.
And it's as simple as that. This is an industry of swinging dicks. Okay, let's be frank. And people
like most industries,
stuff.
Right?
Dude, people like to show off their stuff. They like to be the best. And really, I think that's kind of like America. You know what I mean? Because like,
yeah,
it's exceptionalism. It's, hey, everybody else is doing one thing. Well, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that this one step further, and it's never, ever going to be enough. So I'm just going to keep on pushing and keep on chasing that nth degree, that NE plus ultra, whatever term you want to throw at it, and have something that you can be proud of. And it's all possible with two hands, you know? And, you know, like chemicals aren't everything. A lot of it has to do with obviously your knowledge base, your you know, how deep you've decided to dive into things and where you've actually been able to push yourself. Because, and Paul, you know, and Brian, I'm sure you know too, like two guys can pick up one product and get completely different results. And basically this is the key. That's it. You know, and really, like, so if I bring a product into the country, if I can hand it off to you and you can use it, you have to be able to pick it up and be like, this is exceptional. Like I'm getting a result that's worth the price point, that makes me look better. Not me, like me as in you know?
Right.
So that's the end goal.
All right. And the one thing I like is, you know, I'm a family business. Mm-hmm. My wife and I have this company since 1990. My boys are working here. My other four guys are like my boys too. Mm-hmm. I like to support companies that support me. Mm-hmm. I have clients that support me. If you're a-hole, I don't deal with people like that. Now, fortunately, where I'm at, I can pick and choose who I deal with.
100%.
Correct.
But the reason I'm always calling out Detail Division is because you're my friend.
Agreed.
And even more, you're a small business. You're married with 2 kids. And that's who you're providing for. And that's why I support you even more.
One income, man. One income only.
Okay, I've been doing that too. We've had one income.
Yeah.
We've been married 26 years. We have 4 boys. My wife has stayed home for all that time. Yep. Thank God that we could do it. I mean, you know, it wasn't always easy. We sacrificed a lot, but it's worth it. 100%. But I line myself up with companies and people as yourself that are just right on and support me like I support them, and have the best products. And I don't care what it costs. If you know what I'm saying, I'm not going to buy a pressure washer off, you know, somebody else if it's $100 cheap or whatever. I would rather buy it off you and support you and have your technical advice and your friendship and know that your wife and kids are being supported.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you say that, because like the current generation, or like the current, maybe it's not generational, it's a mindset thing, where Amazon has basically indoctrinated us to look for the thing that's the cheapest price and that's the only thing that there is. But when something breaks on Amazon, like, you're not going to call Jeff and be like, hey, this part is leaking right here. Like, what do I do? You know, like, there's no guy that picks up the phone and will give you the time of day. The solution is send it back, or you're on your own if you didn't purchase like the protection plan or whatever the scheme is, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, and like, that kind of goes back to normal, regular, old school business of like, hey, I bought that thing from you. Like, it isn't working. What do I do? You know, and having somebody that'll actually pick up the phone that uses it and can give you an answer, like, that's, dude, like, can you imagine saving $10? And in saving $10, you've lost a day of work because you didn't do business with the right person.
Yep.
And now you're actually paying the price. Can you imagine losing like $1,200 in a day, or whatever the number, $4,000 in a day?
Yeah.
Right.
Because you can't complete a job, and then having to go to a customer with your hat in your hand and be like, told you it'd be done today. There's a big show. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's embarrassing, you know, and it's like, it's that trickle down effect where it's like, it really all comes down to like the place that you start. And when you start making, like, if you set out to do a thing and you start making good decisions from the start, then you'll do well. But if you don't have that foundation, you're at sea without a rudder. You've got, you know, like wherever life pushes you, that's where you're going to wind up, and it's just not. It's not fun, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to bring up something that is, and it's complete. It's on topic, but it's not. It's one of those things where I'm floating through your website, because until Paul introduced us, I didn't know you. I didn't know hardly anything about Detail Division. So I was doing a little research. One of the things that hit me the hardest, and I'm just going to be honest, maybe it was the day I was having a what, but one of the things that hit me the hardest was at the bottom of your website. It says, if you can't stock it, touch it, and ship it on your own, no one's getting it. You have to touch it in order for somebody to get it. And I was super impressed with that.
Yeah.
And where is that just the work ethic in you that says, hey, this is how I'm going to run my business, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to take care of the people that are buying from me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
That's exactly it. No, because I mean, like, you know, you're a customer. I'm a customer. I spend so much money. It's ridiculous, you know, just on like stupid things. And you have all these different interactions with different companies, and you see how people run things. And how many times has it happened to you where you order something from a company in, say, California, and then it ends up shipping from, like, I don't know, the other side of the world. And you're like, what is this? You know, like why is this taking like 9 days instead of the 2 that it should have, you know? Or somebody said, you know, there's that dreaded phone call. Hey, you ordered this thing and we don't have it in stock. Well, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like, not only do I have stock and carry the stock, I don't run a net 30 business. I don't owe anybody anything. Every single thing that I sell people, I own it, you know? And like, the reason why it took me so long to get into business is because I had to come up with that money to be able to facilitate that. And like, you know, Paul, you were talking about sacrifice and what dude, being one income, and then, you know, and then trying to tell your wife, hey, we're not going to buy all these things that we need in life or you want, because like in 5 years, I'm going to start up a business and I'm going to need all this working capital to do this, you know, like these aren't easy conversations, you know, but I mean, luckily, like that's kind of a test for her too, you know, because she stuck around and she dealt with it, you know, for years, for decades, you know, because I had this dream and I had to, you know, like I had to itch it. I had to make it happen. So,
That's so cool that you brought that up. Sorry, Brian.
No, go ahead.
My wife's my best friend, and man, I'd be nowhere without her.
Dude, same.
And, you know, the last 3 years, you know, we opened a shop, we doubled our shop. Now we just tripled our shop, and we're paying as we go. So even though we're freaking killing it, you know, a lot of it's going back in still.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's never going to end. you know?
Well, I'm going to make it end one day after I buy a building and set it up and it's just jamming.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go buy a horse and ride the range for a while.
Hey, there you go. There you go. And you've got an electric horse until then.
Yeah, my Suron, dude, for sure.
Oh, good stuff.
That thing's badass. I never thought of that. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What
Just a little slap.
His name's Suron. Maybe when I get a real horse, I'll name it Suron.
There you go.
Dude.
They'll sponsor that, I'm sure.
So so tell everybody a little bit about Detail Division. What products do you stock, and how did you come about? I guess maybe you've already touched on it a little bit, but how did you come about with the inventory that you have? What was the mindset behind it, other than just where you came from in the automotive world?
Yeah, sure. Easy. So basic laws of business. You can be the guy that gets one sale once from a customer and they never come back, or put things into people's hands that make you noteworthy, that make you worth something to them, and get them to come back. And it's kind of like it does come down to relationships. And I want to work with businesses that like, again, pardon my French, the people that I do business with, I would fuck with in real life. And I think that's really important, because they're solid people. When they tell me something, I can trust it. They've never given me a reason not to be able to trust it. So I started off with Clin Korea, microfiber manufacturer. They make their products. Okay. These aren't made someplace else and then they buy them and then they sell them and they say that they're Korean, but they're Chinese. No. They're made in Korea. The guy that I deal with is the owner of the company. We're friends. We actually ended up going to college like 2 hours away from each other, right around the same time. So, and that's just like one of those like little personal things that it was like, oh my God, you were in Connecticut at that time? I was in Rhode Island. And he's like, oh yeah, I know that school. So, it's one of those cool little connections, and it kind of brings it back. And it's funny because he's Korean and he was at school in the United States, and like, you never know where life is going to bring you. And it's funny that somebody was 2 hours away from you. Maybe it was even an hour. And he was right there. And his dad owned a company that he had started, and now he's taken it over. And unlike a lot of American businesses, he's very successful in what he does, So, ultimately, the whole point of this part of the conversation was why what products are being brought in through my business. And it's to give something to people that they'll want to use and want to continue to come back for them. Pick something up. Hey, how come this works better than everything else? Well, I need more. Simple,
Perfect.
Well, I think too, Scott, like you said, the key to what you said too is relationships.
100%.
I have relationships with my vendors, like you're my bro. I have that with like John at Modesta, the guys at S-Tech. They're just awesome. And I'll post about you. You'll repost about me. That's how it works. But everybody loves your handwritten letters. When I first got the first order from you, you hand wrote me a letter, and I know you do it on every order. And I just think, dude, that's how I run my business. I'm a very relational person. I'm very tight with all my customers. It's all about relationship, honesty, integrity, all that stuff. I think you're just doing a great job, dude. Like you said before, it's this old school way of doing business like my dad did. Your dad did. Well, your dad was smoking and cussing people out, but that was old school.
Old school. Well, and the good thing about him is that no matter what is going on, he tells you straight up.
I love it.
And it's like I try to do that with my cut. Like I was having a conversation with a customer. I've got one ceramic that is not the easiest to apply. And I preface every single sale with that, saying like, you need to go light. This is going to take 2 wipes to level. The juice is worth the squeeze. So just do it. So I had a customer hit me up and he was like, dude, what am I doing wrong? So I kind of went through the steps with him and told him like, you know, how to do it. He's like, oh, I'm not sure about this. And, you know, I was like, hey, like we're cool, right? Like I can talk to you. And he's like, yeah, what? And I was like, dude, harden the fuck up. Put that shit on the paint, get it done. And then once it cures and then you wash it, you're going to thank me. Because if I'm giving you the same thing as everybody else, then it's going to perform like everything else. Yeah. But if this is more difficult to apply and then there's a reason for it and I can articulate it and then you can see it with your own eyes, not only have you accomplished something, but you've learned. So now when you pick up, like this is a low hardness coating. So it's like when you get another product that works like this, I know what to do. I've done this before. I know how to tackle this. Let's get it. Yeah. You know, and you won't be worried about it because obviously like none of us were born knowing how to do anything, you know, like, so you do have to kind of be self-taught, you know, and there does need to be somebody there to tell you like, quit your belly aching, shut up, put it on the paint, make it work. And then after they get through that process, they're like, that wasn't fun, but man, okay, I see it now. You know, yeah. So yeah, so I do try to be like that with my customers too, where you know, sometimes people have like complaints that are reasonable, and I can walk them through that. And then if they're kind of being, you know, a little fussy about it, I'd rather just tell them, you know.
No, I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Just like a big bro, just say it straight.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the right customer and the right relationship, there's a lot of respect there for that.
Yeah.
You know, and that is another issue of when people kind of sack up and go, hey, you know what? Scott told me. I didn't listen at first, but now I'm back in it. He's got me back in the groove and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with it. Then you have to build a little bit of respect in that sense that maybe they go, you know what? This is cool. He's the guy I want to buy from because he helped me through, you know, whatever it was that I was going through. And he gave me the knowledge. You gave me the information that I was looking for that I needed at the time.
Yeah.
So, well, like Scott was saying, that's the cool thing about him is I can pick up the phone and call him like, dude, what the hell am I doing there? How do you do this? Or how do you do that? You can't get that most anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And really, like, that's kind of what's missing, you know, in the industry itself, and probably in every single industry is there's that everybody will sell you something. Everybody will sell you something. Right. But when it comes down to you using it, they disappear. And, you know, I mean, how do you think I figured things out? It's not because I'm special. It's because nobody was there to hold my hand. And the money's already spent. So it's either figure it out or throw it away. You know, like shit or get off the pot, make it happen. And, you know, I mean, dude, mistakes are the best teacher, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
One of the best mistakes that I ever made was going to college and realizing that it was a complete waste of time and money and that I threw away probably like 60 grand, you know, in the late 90s, you know, of money that I was working for. You know, and it's like, what a wake up call, you know? So yeah, you've got to learn. You've got to learn. And the only way that you can do it is to be painted into a corner, put your feet to the fire and make it happen or quit.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of maybe an issue I see with the younger generation is you know, I got this phone. I can get on YouTube. I can get on this. I can get on that. I can DM Paul Springer for every question I have. Mm-hmm. And I don't have time. And I've been doing this my whole life for freaking 40 years since I was a tiny little kid.
Yeah.
And like Brian and I talked about, dude, back in the 80s, 90s when I started, I mean, there were 7 channels on the TV. I didn't have no internet or freaking masters to call. I freaking made mistakes, and I learned how to, like, I talk a lot about, you know, how we manage our thoughts, like jump in and just freaking figure it out, make the mistakes, figure it out, make the mistakes, figure it out. You know, you see where I'm at. I got 40 years of mistakes and hard knocks and money lost, and hopefully customers that didn't get pissed because we were honest. And
I'm still amazed at, you know, these, and how often for the younger generation you still have to tell them, Google it. It's almost like they have this in their hand and they still can't figure it out.
Yeah.
It's incredible to me, you know.
Yeah.
But
kind of a blessing and a curse, you know, because like you want to be, you know, Paul, I'm sure from your standpoint, you want to be that person that's like helpful to other people. You want to like share it because obviously like, you know, not to get all hokey, but like we are kind of stewards of the car industry and the enthusiasm about detailing and everything else. Like, I'm not saying like of like, you know, YouTube fame and prowess, but I mean like locally, like you've got people that ask you questions and you want to help them because, you know, you're that knowledge base. But at the same time, people just love to take advantage of that shit, don't they? You know?
Well, and that's where you and I just talked the other day about boundaries.
Yeah.
I get people all over DMing me, and I help a lot of people because, you know, if it's a simple question, I like to be helpful.
Yeah.
You know, I do a lot of little short videos. You know, Alex, come here, film me doing tires or whatever. You know, it's simple.
Yeah.
But then I get people. Yeah. Right on. You want to hear a funny story about that, you guys?
Yeah, let's go.
Do it.
Last year or the year before, I went out to Modesto in Virginia with John to get training. Okay.
Yeah.
He showed me how to use Terminator on freaking tires.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 40 years, and he showed me that he did it. I was like, what the living fuck, dude? I've had Terminator in my hand for 25 years.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that I don't know everything.
Right. Well, you know what they would do it at the dealerships in like, you know, close to Boston?
Yeah.
Gas.
Sweet.
Wipe it down with gas.
Yeah.
Well, take that right out.
Light a match.
Hey, my dad's van smoking.
Oh, but my point being was I love getting sidetracked, and you guys just go right on with me, man.
Yeah, right.
I get guys DMing me like, hey, I know you're busy. I really appreciate if you can help me with blah, blah, blah. Sure. Thank you so much. But I had this kid that kept doing that. And then all of a sudden, just the question like, how do I do this? How do I do that? I'm like, figure it out was my last response.
Eventually,
Dude, give me a break. I got a lot going on. Don't do that.
Yep.
But boundaries, like we talked. What's that?
Or show up in shadow.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because kind of like detailing is a lot like tattooing. You're not going to learn things in a day, 2 days. Nobody's going to be a pro. Nobody cares where you trained. Produce.
Yeah, no, I don't care about training.
You know, well, I mean,
I'm still learning.
Well, and that's the difficult part is that, you know, you can go someplace for 2-3 days, and obviously, like, granted, you can get a ton of information.
Yeah,
an absolute ton. You can change your life in 2 or 3 days, but that doesn't mean that now you're going to go out and write a book about it.
Yeah,
right.
Because you literally have to live it. You know, and that's the only way to actually know things, because like you said with the phone, everybody's on this damn thing.
Yeah.
You know, shut up, stop posting comments, stop asking questions, you know, with all due respect, because obviously we want those interactions.
Yeah.
But in the real world, not the Instagram world, in the real world, go make mistakes. Go figure it out. Go do it. Go want something so bad that you'll buy $1,000 worth of stuff and you'll burn through all of it, and then you're better. How about that? That's like, if you're not going to go to a training, if you're not going to shadow somebody, if you're not going to work in a body shop, go spend a bunch of money. So now you have to get the value out of that money that you spent. And then it's up to you, figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and again, hard knocks.
Yeah. And I would say on that note, anybody want to get into this business? I mean, the reality is you're self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have thick skin, and you got to figure out not just products and the actual detailing.
Right.
I mean, it's a whole nother podcast on managing all these people and getting all these clients in, and I got to do accounting and payroll taxes and insurance up the ass and this and that and a billion other things.
Yeah.
That's what you and I are doing.
Yeah.
All of us are doing.
Yeah.
And that's just a whole nother part of it.
Yeah.
And I think
people are always surprised about like the price of things, you know? And it's like you said about like, you've got 3 shops now. Dude, don't quote the number. I can only imagine what the rent is out there. With that many squares that you're paying for, holy hell. So
I would say on that note, you know, I know here is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I will say I've been nowhere else in my whole life. And I've learned it's all I know. And it's what I've managed. I have to manage it. And my prices aren't cheap because nothing's freaking cheap around here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the way of the world. It's every single industry. It's every single business that you walk into, you know, I mean, what can you do? It has nothing to do with us. And like, not to get political, but like, hey, vote better. You know, like, you don't like the prices of things, vote better.
Exactly.
That's pretty much it, you know?
Yeah.
Like abolish income tax.
That'd be awesome.
Sign me up.
Scott for president. But anywhere you go is different. Like I went to Virginia with John at Modesta and his detail shop, and he told me his rent. Dude.
Yeah.
It's like double what I pay, if not more.
Crazy.
I'm like, but he has enough work and enough people in that area, and he just manages it. So you got to be where you're at and manage everything you got. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. No, it is about that balance too, you know, because I mean, what else are you going to do? You're not going to last. If you can't balance things, you're never going to last. So, you know.
And like you said, you got to just keep going and making mistakes. I mean, I just opened a tint PPF shop.
Yep.
I don't even know much about tint and PPF. I know I can sell it.
Yep.
I haven't installed PPF. Well, I did at training, but I got a guy that's good, and we're gonna figure it out as we go. So dude, brand new shop, brand new trade, brand new problems, brand new things to figure out.
For sure.
And I'm just like, let's just friggin' do it. My wife's cool. She knows, you know, she's awesome. And
we're all gambling, man.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. So you might as well. And really, like, there's guys in the industry that have been doing it for 10 years. Wrong. There's guys that are in the industry that have gone to a training class and they have a year under their belt and they're amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are you going to do? You know, and like your life can change in an instant. Like, I have a friend with a shop down in North Carolina. He had a guy show up and apply. He's not from America. He said that he could do film, tint, the whole 9. Guy walked in and he's an absolute stud. And my buddy went from like being an absolute stress case, like, how am I going to finish 5 cars in 9 days, to now he's like, oh, cool. Like now I can see my kids sometimes.
Nice.
And and that's the difference in a day.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and bottom line, we're gambling on ourselves.
Hey, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah. I'm gambling on myself every day. And I'm like, it all goes back to mindset. Like Brian and I always talk about, like, I don't think much about it. You just go and you fucking do, and you fucking figure it out as you go. I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, when you got married and had a kid, did you know how to be married? No. Did you know how to have a kid? No.
No.
Even if you went to every class and your parents taught you and your friends taught you and said this and that, you read, you listened to podcasts, you still got to figure it out.
Yeah. On the job training, man. There's nothing like it.
But there's nothing better than marriage, family, and my business.
Yeah.
And you guys.
Yep.
My friends.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. So, Brian, sorry. What do you want to say? I keep just blabbing on, brother.
Hey, I'm good. I'm just listening. Here's the thing. I'm listening and I'm learning, and I love it because
listening, learning, love it. 3 L's.
The two of you guys are at way different levels than I am, and I just love to hear you guys talk and to learn from you because it's just super cool to be a part of this and to know you guys and to learn from what you guys have and to feed myself with that enthusiasm that you guys have.
Awesome,
for what you guys do every day. So when you were talking about the shop and you said, what were you saying? Like brand new this and brand new that and brand new that. And every time you and I talk, the one thing I think of was brand new blessings. Even though you have all these things going on that could go wrong, on the flip side, they're all brand new blessings. They're things for you that you've grown tremendously over the past year. And I've loved watching, So, and for you to share that with everybody is just super cool to me, So
yeah, Paul, once everything is done, man, you've got to do, and maybe you've done it already, but you've got to do like a full tour, and go over a couple things with guys like working at your stations and stuff, bro. It's your setup is insane.
Thank you.
I love, it's like, it's peak efficiency, and it's awesome that again, because it's your boys, like, you're building legacy.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I want to build this. So then like, once I'm done and my time is up, hey, kick the old man a couple bucks. You guys run the place and make that bread. Go have some kids.
Yeah. You know what I told him, dude? Do you guys watch Breaking Bad?
I don't.
Oh. Okay, you won't get it then. Forget it. Can you go watch it and then I'll tell you? But thank you guys. We're gonna do that. I got a PPF tent shop that it's just so not close to being done. So once that's done, the cool thing with Alex, my media guy, you've seen his drone shots around here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's gonna go through the front door, the detail shop, go around the detail shop, go out the door, go through the back door of the tent shop, PPF, go in, and then go out that front door. That'll be our freaking.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we're having a great time. A really great time.
Nice. And you have you've got to have like a nasty website too, right? That goes along with your business, that like you've got some of that media up there as well.
Yeah, so we hooked up with the Detailers Roadmap. Have you heard of them?
I have heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends used them. I've been struggling with. I had 3 Google ad companies since I opened, and I was so frustrated. And none of them. I'd be on Zoom calls with these people, and I'm like, "You guys are not talk about." I learned a lot. But these guys were not in my corner, Scott. They'd be like, it's going to change. Everything's going to be great. And I'm like, you guys are not freaking listening to me, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah.
So when I met Alex, he actually was going to come train and do PPF for me. But getting to know him, one day I forget where my wife and I were, and I'm like, you know what? I called my third Google ad company and fired them, and I hired Alex on the spot because I go, dude, this kid, I know he's just done. Look at my Instagram. He's just killed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then he was trying to, what's that?
Night and day difference.
Yeah. And then we hooked up with a detailer's roadmap to get our website. If you ever want to go on it, it's springersdetail.studio.
Okay.
I mean, everything's just lining up. It's got everything on there. And it's just, I look at it, I'm like, that's what I want.
Well, it's crazy that, like, from a business perspective, the power that a camera has versus the amount of money that you can spend on SEO optimization, Google ads, AdWords, whatever the new words of the day are that you can throw money at.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure what your budget was, but I had friends that were dropping like 8-10 grand a month to get that shit squared away, and nothing was really happening. And it's like, just to be able to come up with that kind of money. I mean, that's $2,500 a week.
Yeah.
Profit. I mean, obviously it's a business expense, so you're not paying taxes on it, but still that money has to be there in order for you to spend it. And it is difficult. Okay. So to kind of dovetail with the rest of our conversations, you can throw money out into the ether and see what works, or you can have that relationship with that one guy that can step in. You can pay him a good wage to keep him there, keep him happy, and then things will just work out, And like, I don't care how much money, like everybody, man, over the last couple of years with that C19 thing that people talked about, there was a whole bunch of money that was just getting thrown at these projects, and it was absolutely insane. And I never spent a dime on it because I knew that it was down the toilet, and if you want it, fucking Google it, figure out how to do it. It's not hard. Like when you put a picture up on your website, when you take that picture and then you bring it into Lightroom or whatever your editing software is, just name the file. And then you name the file, and then it shows up better on search engines. And it's the stupid little things like that.
Yeah.
Does that cost $2,500 a week to do? No. But like, these are the small things that, like, a lot of young business owners, they get roped into this idea of like, oh yeah, just give this guy all this money, and then everything is it's gonna be humming, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be clearing 10 grand a week. It's like, dude, it's not like that. It's not like that. At least not in this industry. It's not.
No.
Maybe like tween makeup category, because I know what my girls spend money on, and it's makeup. But
it's just another thing that I had to do for years. Beat my head against the wall, spend a ton of money, get frustrated. When I get frustrated, then I'm like, okay, something has to change. But this is all like we've been talking about the whole time. It's just another thing that I'm doing and doing and doing and doing and figuring out and spending money and spending time and getting frustrated till I just go, something's got to change. And then I get Alex, and I'd rather pay Alex. He's a great kid. And look at my Instagram. We're getting all kinds of work from it.
Yeah.
Then we get with the detailer's roadmap. It's rad. Mm-hmm. Everything's just lining up. But, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on Google ad crap, and I was just like, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah. It's crazy. No, I mean, at the end of the day, we're in an industry of image, and all you have to do is it's all about presentation. If you have somebody that can take good photographs, and I mean, I own a camera, I do all my own photography, so you've got to know the importance of that stuff. And like detailing or selling products or anything else, I'll put it to you this way. My uncle is an engineer, huge company. I can't remember which one it was, and I probably shouldn't say anyways. But like he and I don't talk much, so it doesn't matter. He's an engineer. At one point in my life, I wanted to be an engineer just like my uncle because my uncle drove a 911. Okay. So you see what you
valid.
Oh, that's how you did that? Oh, okay. I should go do that.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, he's very successful as an engineer. And he said, man, if I had known being an engineer is what it is, then I would have gone and been a lawyer, because everything in his job basically has to go through a lawyer to do. And he was like, dude, it's ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just done that instead, you know? So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say on another note, Scott and Brian, that's why I'm glad Brian is finally putting these videos on YouTube, because I talk a lot on Instagram. Scott, you do too. And I can say you are you on Instagram as the you I know on the phone.
Well, yeah.
When people come into my door and I say, how'd you find me? Instagram. And I said, okay, I have a question. Do you feel like you've already been at my shop because of Instagram? Yes. You've got to know me. Do you feel like do I feel like the same person right now in your presence as I do on Instagram? Yes. I go, okay, that's what I want to know.
Right.
I always want to be the same person. I'm not acting. We're just being ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's powerful, dude. And that's what you got going on too.
Well,
so do you, Brian. That's why you got to get that beautiful face on YouTube, bro.
Yeah.
It's true.
So what do you?
It's relational. People are getting to know us.
Yeah.
It's old school, dude.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm talking to you. You know, the day we all meet face to face, we'll say like, dude, feel like I've known you forever. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah. No, it's you've got to be careful. People fall into that category of playing a character. You know.
Yeah.
And Instagram, YouTube, you know, if you let it change you, it will.
I've seen it. It's very sad.
And again, dude, I've been in business for 7 years. This is the first podcast I've ever done. What does that tell you? That
I had to beat you over the head for 6 months?
Pretty much. Pretty much. It also means that I like you.
Oh. Brian, that's all. We're done. He likes me.
We're done. That's all we needed to hear. That's all we needed to hear.
Brian likes me, and now Scott does too. I got 2 friends out there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Nice.
Win-win.
So what's the future for you, Scott? What do you want to do with the business?
It's funny because you say that, and it isn't necessarily always what I want to do with the business. It's what I'm not going to do with the business.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So, and in the sense that
you don't want to say.
Yeah. No, I'll say. I don't care.
So do you think it's something that can relate to other people in their business, things that they shouldn't do?
No, I think it's personal preference. I think everybody has their own goals, and I'm not gonna get up on the pulpit and act like I'm holier than thou because I'm a certain way. I'm just who I am, and it's the way that I do things. But I don't know, like over the last couple of years, I've been getting a lot of emails, like, you know, ultimately corporations trying to buy the business. And it's like, delete. We close in 30 days, quick turnaround, you know? And it's like, no, dude, you can keep your fucking money, you know? Like, it's, you know, like I'm obviously, like, I'm a detailing enthusiast. I'm a car enthusiast. And then I also happen to operate in this industry. And because I was an enthusiast for so long, you see it all play out. All you have to do is watch what's going on.
Right.
And I think the industry has taken a really interesting shift in the last 2 years. And I don't think it's for the better. And, you know, like we talked about education, there's a lot of guys that like pay a marketing guy, for instance, to basically promote a product and do a write-up for things and come up with these claims. And you know, everything is pie in the sky and everything is easy and it's going to last 10 years and it's 30 hardness scale. And it's like, dude, give me a break, stop. Because now it's like, like I'll have customers hit me up and they'll, well, it's between this coating and that coating. And my thing is like, okay, well, what color car is it? Like, what do you want out of it? What are you expecting from it? Like, how do you want it to perform? Because I'll point you in that direction. Oh, I want 10H. It's like, okay, well, show me what 10H is. Show me what that means. It doesn't mean anything. Like, who cares? Who gives a shit? You know, like say you met the girl of your dreams. Okay. Do you want to marry her because of what you think she's going to look like in 7 to 10 years if she's not taken care of the way that she should be taken? Give me a fucking break. Like if you want to do a thing, do the thing now and be happy with it and then take care of it, rather than like these weird projections about how things are going to be, because it's just marketing, you know, like, and at the end of the day, like, obviously, like ceramic coatings, like, they're all very different, but they're also a lot the same.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of components in them that you can mess around and you can play with some things, and there's other hard factors that you just can't change.
Right.
And you know, like we've got a lot of people bench racing in this industry. You know, and it's like, for what? Who cares? Like, who cares how much like GSM this towel is? Like show me what that looks like, and then show me like, you know, like the funny thing about microfiber is like you can have a high GSM towel, doesn't mean the material's any good. You know, like you could be 400 pounds. That it could be all muscle, it could be all fat, but 400 pounds doesn't tell me what anything is worth.
Right.
It's just one benchmark. It's one factor, instead of people taking into consideration more factors. You know, like, how easy is this to live with? What products do I have or should I be using along with it? You know, like, what's it going to be like in the snow? Like normal real world situational things, right. You know? So yeah. And you know, it is tough. Like with all these big corporations that are buying up like small companies and stuff, and big companies being bought up by even bigger companies.
Yeah.
It's not good for the consumer. That's what I know. Is that it just means that if everything is done under one roof, then you're not getting any variation in the raw materials. And if everything is done under one roof, then you have 1, 2, 5, 10 lead chemists, and they all have one school of thought. So like you're buying things that are coming out of an echo chamber. And if that echo chamber doesn't change, then you're only going to get the same thing every time. And I don't care what label is going on to it or anything else. So, you know, like I just hope that people are using their brains and seeing that like everybody's in the business to make money, myself included. I have to. I'm not here to rip people off. I want to tell people the truth. I want them to make the decision to do business with me.
Sure.
Not you have to buy this product because this is the best product ever. No, it's, hey, I operate with products that I trust, that I use myself. Everything gets installed on something that I own or something in my purview that I can keep an eye on. So when things happen, I know what to expect. So when you have that issue, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, or hey, pick up this chemical, put this over it, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, okay, that's my complaining for the day.
No, I think it's great because I tell all my customers new or ones that have been around that are just coming back or whatever, like, I only sell you what's on all my vehicles and what I've driven in the rain, taken to the desert, taken on road trips, blah, blah, blah. You know, my 2 vans are wrapped. I ceramic coated them 5 years ago.
Yep.
I could tell you how that's working. Do our windshields almost every year because it doesn't last. I'm not going to tell you it lasts 5 years.
Yeah.
But that's all with experience. But having everything you sell that you're actually using and watching, because a lot of people will just, use this in the last 10 years. Like, it's like people ask me, so you ceramic coat my car, doesn't matter what ceramic we use or how long it lasts. They'll say, what's the warranty? And I say, I don't give warranties. And they say, why not? And I say, as soon as your car leaves here, I don't know what you're going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You want a warranty? Put it in your garage, wrap it in plastic, and suck the air out. And that's your warranty. Nothing will ever happen.
Don't drive it, don't look at it, don't turn on the lights.
Yeah, maybe the plastic.
There's your guarantee.
Yeah, so I don't offer warranties. If you need a warranty, go somewhere that they'll offer it.
Yeah. And really, at the end of the day, I mean, these warranties, like, they're all bullshit, It's
like everything I buy, they want to sell me a $2 to $5, $10, $20 warranty.
Mm-hmm.
They sell 1 million of those. They got $2 billion in the bank for the 10% that will actually use it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even work when you try to use it. So why buy it?
Yeah.
I think something that just came to mind when you were talking, Scott, about small companies being bought up by bigger companies and those bigger companies being bought up by bigger companies. To me, I feel like the farther and farther away those get, the farther and farther away from relationships people get.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. So a small company such as yourself, which run just by you, is much better to deal with because you're that guy. You're that guy that's going to give somebody the knowledge, and you're that guy they can go to if something happens.
Yeah.
Whereas bigger companies keep getting bought up and bought up and bought up and bought up. And like you said, you're going to end up with the same shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately. And that's a blessing and a curse too, because, like there's a lot of if I talk to a customer and I don't think that, I mean, sometimes maybe I don't want to deal with them for my own reasons, because I can kind of game things and I already know where this conversation is going. Or sometimes people have a need and I think that they're probably better suited using something else that I just don't carry.
Sure.
Then I'll send them someplace, and I'll say, like, these are probably the products that you want to start off with, or whatever. And ultimately it's just a courtesy. And if it comes back, then it comes back. And if it doesn't, well, then who cares? Whatever,
Right.
But it's one of those things of you have to have some sort of level of integrity, not only for yourself, but for the people that you work with as well, because even though the industry is really big, it's also really small.
Yeah.
And, like I know that I've sent customers to some places and somebody's dropped my name, and whether that person was like, oh, cool, he's a good guy, or they roll their eyes and they're like, fuck that guy. At the end of the day, whatever. Like I knew that that it wasn't a good situation for me, or it wasn't a good fit for that customer. So I directed them someplace else. You know what I mean? Right. Because again, if I'm going to be honest with myself, this is an industry of results. If I don't think that I can give the customer the exact result that they want, then I will point them in a direction that I think that they should go. Like the green doesn't matter that much to me.
Right.
Like I'm not going to trade the way that I think so I can make $70 off of some guy that's going to have a bad time, write a bad review, tell all of his friends that I'm an ass and that I sold him something wrong and whatever else, because it's like, 7 years in business almost, and it's all been real. None of it's been fake followers, like nothing,
right.
No advertising except for Google. So, like it's just not something that I'm willing to trade,
Sure.
So,
right. Wow. Paul, got anything you want to add before we head out of here?
Well, I always say, Scott, like, I like to sleep good at night. So I do the same things. I have a local guy, Martin, he's a mobile detailer.
Yep.
I give them so much work because sometimes people's budgets just aren't in the realm of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And why would I not just give it? Martin's always calling me, dude, I tell my wife, I got to do something for you. I got to give you money. I go, dude, I like to sleep at night, and not everyone fits here. Why wouldn't I just tell them about you instead of telling them we don't do that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm with you, man. I'm just on this earth, man, to do my thing. Love my peeps. I like to sleep. I like to sleep, and I'm like you, man. Green always shows up.
Yeah.
And ride those electric horses.
Ride my electric Saran.
Good stuff. I love
Scott, so first of all, thank you so much for your time. I think
good, of course. Pleasure.
Very, very knowledgeable. I think from a business aspect, business sense, you've got a lot to offer, and I think people can learn. I would love to do this again sometime. I'm sure there's much, much more that we can cover. I just, man, tell people where they can find you. Where can they get a hold of you, or how do they get a hold of Detail Division? How can they find everything about you?
Cool. So detaildivision.com or detail-division. I own both domains, so whatever. Instagram is pretty much where I started my business. So detail_division. Or they can just Google awesome words like who's the fucking coolest guy ever, and then like 1,000 other people will show up, and then maybe I'll be in there somewhere. No.
So I just Googled that shit, and both you guys just popped up.
Both of us.
Right.
It's just Scott and Springer right there.
That's why. Yeah. They know
you're just looking at your screen,
They're
dude.
just feeding it back to you.
Yeah. You're looking at your screen because we're both still on there. That's all.
Oh my God. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening. Scott, so much appreciation, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate it.
It's been great getting to know you and getting to talk to you. Paul, as always. Guys, hang out for a minute when I get done, and we can chat for a little bit longer.
Cool.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for Scott Gauquier from Detail Division. Thank you to Paul Springer from Springer's Detailing Studio. And guys, Scott, thank you for sharing your shine. As always,
thanks, man.
Paul, thank you. And
thank you, Scott. Thanks, Brian.
We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Take care.